Hey, everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine, Jeff Hawkins here on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel about 20 minutes after Dynamite ended, and also on the Fight Game Media free audio feed Thursday morning. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And we have
By the way, happy Canada Day, Paul.
Well, thank you. That was yesterday. Happy 4th of July in 2 days for you.
Yes, you'll soon be celebrating the 4th of July, so it'll be nice.
Well, it'll be Friday.
I'm kidding.
I'll go for lunch because I always go for lunch on Fridays, so that'll be nice.
I meant when Canada's finally part of the United States.
Oh,
nevertheless.
Yeah. Might happen.
No,
if somebody gets their way. So yeah, it was a big show tonight. Dynamite 300. I don't know that it was like it was a put it this way. I really enjoyed the show, but like it wasn't like the actual 300 part of it was not really part of it.
Did not matter an ounce. Like there was no celebration over the three. Let's show you.
You had the cake.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
I missed the cake. I guess
it was a Mercedes Tony thing.
Oh, during the Mercedes Tony match.
Yeah, but that's it. And the funny thing was with that, I was wondering because it kept calling it a birthday cake. I'm like, whose birthday is it? And then I saw the cake and it said 300 on it. So it was like, oh yeah, okay. But yeah, no, it was a great show, and we'll talk about it. But as we always do, we'll just talk a little bit of AEW news before we get into the show. And first up, congrats to Ian Riccoboni. I guess re-signed his deal. Good for him, not so great for us. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not a fan of Ian Riccoboni. I'm out there and saying it because I just don't. Look, my personal beef with him aside.
Yeah.
As a broadcaster, for me, I've just never caught on to that he adds much to a show. To be honest with you, because like when he's the lead play-by-play, his temper never goes above. He never emotes other than the kind of the fakey radio voice type thing.
Well, he's very much in the Vince McMahon school of broadcasting.
Yes, and I get that, but the thing is, when you're the number 2 guy, when you're in the Tony chair, you need to do more than just be Ian Riccoboni, and I just don't think I understand why they do it for these marathon shows so that Tony doesn't get worn out on commentary and little cranky pants.
It reminds me of Joey Styles in some ways.
But
not the style, but
big moves and stuff.
The role, like
I guess,
like the number 2 guy coming in from the number C brand, like. And Tony, I think, feels that obligation. I'll bet you in Tony's heart of hearts, kind of wishes he had Joey Styles. Because
it is heart of hearts. He's doing this because he's loyal to Ring of Honor.
Yes, well, that's for sure. And I will say, Riccoboni is perfect for Ring of Honor, in my opinion. And the team with him and Caprice is really good. So I think in terms of the Ring of Honor side, I think this actually helps more than the AEW side.
I get people who like that. That team has just never done much for me, to be honest with you. But that's my opinion, and I could be wrong.
Oh, well, transferring heat brings up, and we're going to talk about transferring heat in a little while, because we're going to be doing a special show. But this is our next subject, anyways. I don't think either one of us have any more to say about Ian.
No.
If you discuss Britt Baker, Mercedes did an IG live during the show. Fans said they wanted more of her and Britt, which Mercedes said, "You did. LOL, Missy, LOL." I don't even know what that means. Like, you did, as in.
I think everybody needs to calm down on these rumors.
Okay.
Because they're not coming from. Let's put it this way. If you're seeing Britt Baker rumors and stuff like that, and it's not coming from Fightful, I wouldn't believe them.
Okay. Well, who is it coming from?
It came from the site that reported it. It was Pro Wrestling. I forgot what it was. But
what was up with the tweet that Britt did about the bottle of water?
Oh, it was about.
I understand the tweet, but I mean, why did she put it out there if she's not trying to get out?
She might be trying to get out, but she'd never tell you she's trying to get out necessarily.
And she's flat out telling Fightful that she's not trying to get out.
I don't know if she's flat out telling Fightful that, but I'm just saying If it,
That's what I understood. Somebody told me that Sean reported that neither side is trying to end their
okay, then I would believe what Sean says.
No, he's not saying that Britt's happy there. He's just saying
No, but
to
I don't think Britt would air her dirty laundry to a source that wasn't fightful.
And then, of course, Samoa Joe and Queen Aminata stirred the pot. Queen Aminata held up a picture of a water bottle that cost $6.50, and actually she's kind of an idiot because as soon as she pulled that thing off of the motion sensor in her hotel room, she's good for that $6.50, and there's no reason to pay $6.50 for a bottle of water in a hotel room.
And
then again, Tony probably is paying for it anyway, so maybe she's.
And it's one of these things where it's like, look, do I think Britt Baker wants to leave? Yes. Do I think she's saying she wants to leave? No, because that would be dumb.
Because she wants to keep getting paid.
Because she wants to keep getting paid, and she doesn't want the leverage to lose her leverage necessarily if she does want to leave. It's just, and it's one of those things where, and there are other issues involved here, that we can't talk about, but it's one of these things where it's like,
well, we can talk about what's out there.
No, but we can talk about something else, and that is, would you be surprised if Britt Baker wanted to leave? And the answer there is no, because she played the Game of Thrones and lost, and when you either win or you die. And look, she had a lot of political power backstage. She used to have Tony's ear on the women's division and who got hired and fired, and then all of a sudden the invitations to start going to meetings dried up a little bit, probably, I would guess, or Tony moved on, and hey, we found somebody else to build the division around. Here's Tony Storm.
Well, I think it was a combination of a number of things.
It's a combination of a number of things, yes.
Yeah, but lots of them were beyond her control.
Yes, and some of them were in her control.
Correct. And so you say, like, okay, the untimely injuries. Untimely injuries to her partner at the time, which she took time off to help him with. The fact that she didn't progress in the ring like a lot of the other people in her division did, which again could also go back to those injuries.
Yes.
The one thing that wasn't completely in her control, and I think is the main reason she's not on TV right now, and people for whatever reason want to go back to that Mercedes match at All In and say that's the reason. That is not the reason.
It's a Serena Deeb thing, right?
It's the Serena Deeb thing.
Yeah, you don't do that on TV.
It was about a month after the Mercedes match. They were building up a feud for her with Serena Deeb. And Serena Deeb comes out to start this feud, and Britt looked like she couldn't care less.
And she literally said, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Over and over and over.
And that's the last time we saw Britt Baker on AEW television. And I think it's the last time we will see Britt Baker on AEW television, because at that point, I think Tony put her on ignore.
Yes, I would say so. Would it shock me if she does make an appearance somewhere? No, not all that much. Like if it's to put somebody over
somewhere, like you mean like on TV?
I mean Collision or Dynamite. It would not.
It could happen. It could happen tonight. Literally, she's under contract. If they ask her to do it, she's going to do it. If I had to put money on it, I would say no.
Casino Battle Royal, if she's in there, it wouldn't shock me if she was like a surprise to bring back. But I don't think she'd win.
It would shock is probably too hard. It would surprise me. I wouldn't say it would shock me.
And
if you asked me to put money on will Britt Baker be in that thing, I would bet the no. But
I'm also of the opinion, and this is me being purely speculative in some ways, is that the grass isn't necessarily greener for her in WWE.
No, because unless she's willing to play ball.
I see a couple of paths. Yes. She has some baggage from her reputation and whatnot. And look, when she was in AEW and she was at the higher power, her reach exceeded her grasp a bit. She thought she was a work rate type person, I think. And the crowd never got behind her like that. But if WWE signs her, she could very well just be in NXT to put people over. And if she gets to the main roster, it might just be to reteam her with Chelsea Green or the Santana Garrett route, where she's like in there to do a couple of jobs and then she's in catering the rest of the time.
She's in like every time they have a 4-way for a number 1 contender spot, she's in it and she takes the pin, and every once in a while when they're in Pittsburgh, she gets a win.
And I respect the hell out of Britt Baker in terms of what
Yeah.
she's done in terms of academics while also maintaining a wrestling career and putting her dentistry career out there as well. I do. It's one of these things where I just think the timing is terrible for her right now.
Yeah.
Because NXT doesn't need her, but they'll take her to put over, like, I mean, how is she going to react that first time they go, hey, you're putting over Tatum Paxley right now? Or somebody who's not talented.
I mean, she could step right in there and be in that fatal influence group, and that would be a perfect spot for her.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, and she doesn't fit in AEW. She just doesn't. Like, I don't want to get into and I put up a few of the comments in the.
She's burned a lot of bridges. Let's put it.
Yeah, and people are not happy with her, and the AEW fans really don't want to see her, and that is the reason why I say I'd be surprised, because it's not only that Tony doesn't really want to use her, but it's also that the AEW fans don't even really want her.
Right. And they would turn on her.
Right. So if it was a thing where, put it like Athena, for instance, who fans were clamoring for Athena, and then finally Tony put her on TV. Like, that's different, where that's somebody they actually want. I would say, whereas, she's more in like the Malachi Black, Miro kind of camp where the fans were done with them, whereas Ricky Starks was more like, we want Ricky, but for whatever reason, Tony didn't want Ricky. But I think like the AEW fans would have gladly accepted Ricky back, but they had no interest in Miro or Malachi. So
I would agree there.
And they didn't care about Ethan. And that's fine. He's doing fine right now. So we'll see what happens with Britt. I think I tend to believe Sean. He's got sources that are pretty inside on both sides of that one, and if he says that don't expect her anywhere until 2027, I would think that's probably correct.
Yeah, and I think and look, it's the path of least resistance. You just we're paying you to sit at home, keep your mouth shut, and maybe we'll take some time off it, like Mariah May did.
Mm-hmm.
And then
see, Mariah did it perfectly. And that also showed, Tony also showed what he's going to do with people that don't want to be there. Oh, okay, you don't want to be there, fine. We're not.
But the water bottle was a little bit of performative. I will give it that.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And the thing is, like, you also got a message, and I saw it at the time, but I didn't quite put it together. But that last promo Tony gave on Mariah before she left basically was saying, go to NXT and everyone's going to forget about you. Like, you can actually listen to Tony's promo, and that was what she was telling her. So, it was interesting to listen to in hindsight, but I want to bring this up and then we're going to move on to the show. Okay. Lady B asked, couldn't you use AEW fans hating Britt to your advantage and use it in storyline, make her the biggest female heel perhaps? I would say no, because I think it's the wrong kind of heat. And it's also, you would want Britt putting somebody over in that instance. And I mean, she might, but she's not going to be happy about it, and she's not going to do it easily.
We've seen Britt with a meta storyline. The sandbagging.
Lady B might have missed this, by the way, because she's the latecomer to AEW. So
okay.
Yeah.
No, Britt has a way in her promos and stuff of kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't go well for her.
Not always. Occasionally it hits, but
it's mostly attributed to Britt trying to make her opponents look bad and making people who are being built up against her look bad. That's just the reputation. I disagree there. I don't think a lot of people would know her.
Matt says that he thinks Britt would get an enormous reaction as a surprise on Raw, way more than Mariah May and many others. I think it would depend on where they were. It's ironic.
No, and I agree with Lady B's comment. And the people like Britt are very good in the WWE system at times, because there is a firm hand saying this is what we want from you, and if you deviate from this, you won't be on TV again.
Yeah, or you'll be on a TV in a role you don't like. So I'll say one more thing about Britt, which is kind of a segue into our plug, and then we're going to do the show. So I actually saw Britt today on the show I watched, which was the January 8th, 2020 episode of AEW Dynamite, which we are going to recap tomorrow on this Fight Game Media YouTube channel. So it'll be Thursday night at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. We're going to do our retro review and courtesy of Transferring Heat. And Britt in that show, it's funny because she was a babyface, but I think she was either being set up for a heel turn, or because of the way she acted on this show, they decided to do a heel turn because it was bizarre. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow, but it was kind of fascinating to watch her with 2025 eyes in what we witnessed on that Dynamite show, which I thought was kind of that was a down segment on an otherwise pretty good show that we're going to review tomorrow. I don't know how you felt about it, but like, if you want to give any,
was she in there against Statlander? If I'm misremembering,
no, she was in the crowd.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then there was I'll spoil it.
No, it didn't go well.
There was a heel beatdown of two baby faces at the end of the match, and Hikaru Shida was sitting beside Britt, and she jumps out of the crowd to make the save, and Britt looks and she just puts her hands up and walks the other way. It was so funny. So I think that was actually setting up the heel turn, because they did the Jericho Cruise right after this, and then that's where she turned heel, right? Because she broke her nose, and then she did that promo on the fans, and then Tony was her best friend, and the rest was history.
And she did the promo on Tony too, didn't she?
Yeah, which actually ended up, like, it was a heel promo, but it ended up getting people to like her more, and her and Tony became best friends. It was very strange. Yeah. Well, if they don't know the DMD chant, they'll figure it out pretty quick. They were already doing it in the early days of Dynamite, even though it was
actually, that would be that, you know what? Given the amount of call and response in WWE, that might get her over.
Yeah, it might. Especially because they'll do video packages of her in her dentist chair and all this stuff. Yeah, they love their video packages. All right, AEW Dynamite 300. So it was. Oh, and I should point out that cake, apparently it wasn't even for Dynamite 300. It was for Mercedes 1000th match. So what do I know? So they did nothing to celebrate Dynamite 300.
Thanks, Marvez. Appreciate that news.
Oh, scoop. And okay, do you remember last week at the end of the show? Okay, so the end of the show when they did the beatdown, and then you had the baby faces coming out to make the save. And I pointed out that Swerve wasn't there. And the reason that Swerve wasn't there, well, I thought that was a key plot point, that he chose not to help Hangman. No, it was because he'd been suspended.
Correct.
But I'd forgotten. And every review I listened to of this show had forgotten. But,
every review of the show I heard said, because he didn't show up because he was suspended.
Oh, you must have been listening to different ones than me then. Because I listened to like Brian and Dave, and I listened to Brian and Vinny, and I listened to John, because Garrett didn't watch it. But so none of them picked up on that. And we missed it last week. But someone in the Discord pointed it out to me. And I just want to point out that, I forgot about the Bucks suspending him for a week. And that was a key point. And I got into an argument with someone on the F4W board today about
what? No,
because
on that board, everybody's so friendly on that board.
Because I said, like, it's Excalibur's job to remind people of this,
it is.
You did. And this guy says, no, I don't want Tony booking to the stupidest person watching, because that's just going to alienate your most loyal fans.
No, the most loyal fans are idiots.
And the most loyal fans are going to watch anyways. You're going to alienate the people that don't follow it that closely. That's what he's missing, but whatever.
Yeah, There's a difference between acting like you're stupid and just doing good television.
Exactly. If he's not going to remind people that, what's he there for? You know what I mean? Like, it's literally his job. But anyways, we came on the air, and immediately Hangman walked to the ring, and it was to the point where, like, I'll skip the credits, and like I hit that 30-second button, and he was right in the middle of his promo. I had to rewind it to get the whole promo in. So he cut a really good promo. And I gotta say, like, this opening segment was just awesome. Like, this was like a go home segment for a pay-per-view. And they always do this on the show 2 shows before the pay-per-view. And then the actual go home show is usually like not much to write home about, but it's usually the second last show that they nail it. And they did it this time too. So he says he can't, he said how much the company means to him. He'll ride through death for it. a little play on the Death Riders. He made a promise he's going to win the men's world championship. And again, I'll point out, he always refers to it as the men's world championship, which actually by default elevates the women's title, which he's the only guy that actually does this. He says, it's going to free it from the briefcase and hold it over my head. And that's a vow I'll keep with my life. You can tie me up, bloody me up, but you'll have to kill me to let this moment pass me by. If you think the elites or the Death Riders' involvements in this are going to stop me, you're the biggest dumbass in the world. Like all of Jon Moxley's matches, I know the interference is coming, so I welcome them all. And he makes a challenge for the AEW World Title match to be a Texas Death Match. So I think we had said that this might be where they go. And
this go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't think this was ever mentioned in the segment, but they've had a Texas Death Match already, and Hangman won. Which, I mean, Hangman hinted at it at the end of the segment, but they didn't really hammer it home, and I don't think a lot of people probably even remember. But what were you gonna say before I keep going?
It's unfair to this promo, because it happened later in the show. I agree with you. I liked this promo until Jet Speed decided to bring up that you have to kill us to.
Well, not only that, but they also did the thing of I'm still standing, even though they weren't.
Yes,
which was exactly what Hangman said.
It was exactly the same thing. Yeah, and that really tarnished this a little bit, unfortunately.
Well, I will say it hurt their segment more than it tarnished this.
No,
I would them look like complete idiots.
I agree, and it made Tony look kind of unoriginal, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, and this may just be a case of like them putting their own programs together and somebody not overseeing the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Or at least not realizing it. It's like, okay, I've segmented this out and then I've brought it all together and then we don't have the continuity cop.
Like MVP is probably doing his own program. So he may not have even been aware what the Death Riders are doing. He's just doing his own thing. And then, and it's Tony's job to like look over everything and say, oh, hey, don't have him say that. I just had Hangman say that. All right. So then Moxley comes out and he's got Marina with him. No Claudio or Wheeler. Or no, I think Wheeler was there too, but no Claudio at first. And then Moxley said, you want to put all your chips on the table at All In, your health, your life, your career, all on the line with the AEW World Championship in a Texas Death Match? And he says, no. He says, you might think you want that, but you don't. And I know you don't want to win. It's not safe where you're at you don't want to wake up Sunday morning as world champion. The reason you won the ON was that it wasn't the highest peak. It was nice. It was the top of the mountain, but it's too much pressure for you. I live in pressure. And while people call themselves the best in the world, that's basic bitch shit. I'm going to show the world at All In what a real world champion looks like, something you don't have inside of you. You won't be able to walk away with from a Texas Death Match with Jon Moxley because you just don't have it. Now, here's where this was the only miss on this promo. I wanted Hangman to interrupt him and say, you dumbass, I already beat you in a Texas Death Match, and I'll do it again on July 12th. I wanted that, but he didn't say that. Instead, he slapped him in the face, and they got into a brawl, got in mount, tried to stab Moxley with a fork, but Wheeler made the save and got decked. Then Mira Shafir comes in, slaps Hangman in the face, and Hangman just stares at her. Then she slaps him again and again and again and again and again. And then he's ready to just nail her. And then, okay, this was so weird because he gets tackled from behind. And I thought it was Moxley because he was dressed exactly the same as Claudio. They both have shaved heads. They both got a goatee. I thought it was Moxley attacking him. Then Marina leaves through the crowd with somebody in a white shirt. And I thought, when did Claudio show up? And then they're talking about Claudio. Wait a minute, what the hell is going on? And then I realized it was actually Claudio in the ring. So it was, and this is just me, but it was Claudio and Wheeler beating on Hangman. He makes a comeback, and eventually they got on him again. Claudio hit a neutralizer. Then they left. Then Paige got up, grabs a microphone, and says, "Is that all you got? You sent your lapdog after me. I'm still standing, bitch." And Claudio was going to go back, but Moxley's trying to hold him off. But then Samoa Joe shows up, and they're blocking Yuta and Claudio from getting to the ring. So then Marina Shafir shows up behind Paige, tried to hit him with the briefcase. He blocked it, got it away from her. Then he screams in the mic, there's something that you want, and I want Texas Death. Moxley grabs the microphone, says, if you want it, you'll get it, and he agrees to it. Then he tosses the briefcase back to Shafir and goes to leave, but stops. And he said, if you need a reminder that I'm willing to do anything it takes, and then from out of nowhere, he just lays out Marina with a buckshot. Crowd went nuts. Death Riders are shocked, and Hangman left with the Ops, and they're happy about it. I will say the only other thing, I didn't like Marina getting laid out. I don't know. I just don't like the man on women violence, but maybe that's just me. Their crowd loved it.
So it just proves that Claudia's offense doesn't hurt people. Well, although I was enjoying the beatdown until they started the wrestling. I just like the basicness of laying fists and kicks and choking him with his own jacket. I dug that, but then Hangman just shrugs it all off, kind of, and I just kind of went, okay. I too have mixed feelings about the Marina thing. I'm not gonna go out on that limb and say I hated it. I didn't exactly like it either. It's one of those things where I'm thinking in my own fandom, and I always bring up, it was shocking when Dusty hit the elbow on Baby Doll, and then he had to madly apologize for it the next week, kind of a thing. It's interesting that the babyface is doing that. That was the other thing. It's
he was put. I mean, you can say he was pushed to the point where he had
but that was very mid '90s ECW.
Yeah,
is what that was.
Greg says Mox Hangman's never felt bigger to me than right now. Segment worked. Yeah, I mean this was the peak, and
no, I would agree.
It's
possibly Hangman's best work in AEW.
The last few weeks for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Transferring Heat brings up he's going to bring out where we're official security. I have kind of given up on officials and security doing anything in Death Rider segments. It just doesn't happen. I at this point it's canon. And MVP's even mentioned it. Or no, it was Stokely that mentioned it.
Yeah, the problem with security is that they don't give them any. And both companies have now started to do, it's all the local extras and whatnot. So they're always geeked out in some way. So
sure, but I mean, sometimes they come out and sometimes they don't. And
yes, exactly. The inconsistency and the rhyme and reason, they are a plot point to be used rather than an actual security.
That they're never there in the Death Rider segments, Correct. Never, ever, ever. So at this point, I think you just have to accept that and move on with your life.
No, I agree there.
Then we got a celebrity cameo with a celebrity I actually knew, which is yay. I didn't need anything to tell me who Rachel Brosnahan is. She's Marvelous Miss Maisel. I had no idea she's playing Lois Lane. Now I want to see that movie. So I guess they did their job. Because I know. I'm sure lots of people did know, but I didn't. I saw the Superman trailer. I don't remember seeing her in it. Or at least one version of it. Because I went and saw F1 yesterday and they aired it. But so she did a promo with Tony and they're promoting. It was kind of funny because she mentioned that she wrestled in high school and Tony's like, well, what was your character name? And she's like, Rachel. And then they tried to come up with names for her and they finally, I can't remember exactly what they called her. Oh, the Metropolis Maven. And then she put on a t-shirt and then she went to ringside, except she was in a completely different outfit. And she was a zombie for 15 minutes. It was so weird.
It was weird synergy because I liked the Brosnahan thing. I really did. I thought, because Rachel Brosnahan did the thing that celebrities who work on TV with wrestlers do, and they don't act like they don't want to be there.
Right.
Like she just seemed like she actually was enjoying herself. And even
though I think she literally had no idea who this woman was or what her character is or anything. But
look, if you tell her, hey, this is a professional wrestler, her character is she's old timey Hays Code type thing. Oh, that's clever. I can play with that. Here we go. No, it was a fun little segment. And then it led to, her in a catatonic state, which made no sense. But
So this
okay.
was so weird because they had advertised, and again, they advertised that Mercedes was going to have a match and Tony was going to be on commentary. And they've had 2 times now where Tony was in a match and Mercedes was on commentary. And at no point did either of them ever do commentary. They didn't even have a mic. They sat there in front of food, or behind food, I guess would be the correct way to put it. And so, yeah, Tony did the exact same thing here that Mercedes did before. She had steak and wine in front of her and a birthday cake. And she just sat there and watched and occasionally reacted to things, but not in the over the top way that she normally does. She was very much, like just Tony, like not even.
She
It
looked
wasn't.
scared to me, and I just
Yeah.
it didn't play well with me, to be honest.
But it was clearly a choice. Like it wasn't it wasn't like she was like stage fright.
No, it was an active choice to be intimidated.
Right, which was weird. But anyways, so I didn't mention this in the opening segment, and I could mention it all night, and I probably will. This crowd was freaking amazing. This crowd was like molten hot for that opening segment, and I thought, oh man, they might lose it a bit in this one. Nope. They were super hot for this match. It was Mercedes Moné and Mina Shirakawa for the TBS title. I thought they had a great match. I made that comment in our Discord, and somebody, I won't say who, if they're in the chat, they can identify themselves if they want, said that they didn't actually think the match was very good. I liked it a lot. And, and it was Mina. Like, there's a couple near falls where, like, there's one where it didn't even look like Mercedes kicked out, and the fans kind of booed it a little bit, but it was just Mercedes with her standard, like, barely kicking out thing. She kicked out at one point, and then they kept going. And it was awesome. Eventually, Mina Shirakawa got the better of a forearm battle. Mercedes tried a sunset flip. They rolled into a Meteora, sunset bomb, another Meteora for a near fall. And then they kept going. They went through a commercial break. Moné kicked out. Where she kicked out at one was after a sliding kick. Then Moné hit a tombstone lung blower. Mina kicked out. Then they traded finisher attempts. Shirakawa tried a figure 4, but Moné rolled her up with a cradle and got the flash pin. I thought this was awesome. In my initial hysteria over the match, I said it was like maybe the best TV match Mercedes ever had, even better than the Athena match. Then I went back and looked at my ratings. I actually rated the Athena one higher. So I will say that the Athena match was better than this, but I thought this was really, really good.
You thought that was better than any of her stuff in WWE in terms of
TV no, just AEW.
Okay.
Yeah, I specifically said Mercedes match. So
okay, that's what I wasn't clear on, but okay, thank you.
No, I'm clearing that up. That's why I said Mercedes.
I thought it was okay. I didn't see number one. I mean, Mercedes got like finisher after finisher after finisher put on her, and then she kept kicking out, which was hilarious to me.
Well, I like that.
I thought there were some rough patches in here, but okay. I don't view Mina Shirakawa's work rate woman either.
Okay.
She's more character than anything. But it was, I did not enjoy the show. I'm actually thinking about why this crowd was so hot, and I realize it's easier to get to Ontario than it is the Kia Forum for many Los Angeles area people. The traffic's a lot easier in terms of thing, and people in LA don't work. For the most part.
I want to thank Andraves Gaming for a super sticker, whatever that is. It's $1.50 for us is what it is. So that's great.
I liked the match. It's just one of those things where I think the aesthetic choice is to not show that Mercedes is so close to being beatable before the big match. I think that might have been a poor choice and maybe a poor opponent, even though they kind of did the same thing with Okada and Ibushi in terms of, we're going to put you up against your friend and you're going to have to struggle against that friend.
Okada, I mean, we'll get to that match when we get to it, but man, he sold a lot. That's the hardest he's worked on TV, like other than the Continental Classic, probably at all. Yeah. So after the match, Mone started beating down Shirakawa. Tony hit the ring and went to chase Mone off, but then she turned her back and Mone hit her with the TBS title. Then she picked up the cake, took a lick of the icing, and then drank some champagne and tossed the drink at Luther and walked away. And she totally like just unscathed and completely in charge, completely overconfident. And then like that was just kind of a clue that, yeah, she's not winning it all in.
She's not winning it all in.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, it's the right. I think it's the right.
It's the right call for the AEW faithful. I don't think it's the right call for business, but that's me.
Fair enough. I know you believe that she is the MVP of.
I do.
Of the whole company. You've said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny because I was doing the half-year ballot, and when I was looking at women's MVP, in my head I'm thinking Mercedes. And then I'm looking at all these ballots of that people had posted, and I didn't want to sound like I didn't know anything, so I just did the name from Stardom that I don't even know that everyone else did.
You coward!
I can't remember the name. Katami or something?
I have lost something. No, you need to put a paper bag over your head for the rest of this show.
That's okay. When I actually do my ballot, it'll be my own pick, and it would probably be Mercedes, depending on how the second half of the year goes.
Into the chatterheads who go, how could you vote for somebody in the big two when Stardom's been on such a hot roll? It's like, all right.
I will say I'll die on the hill that Kenny Omega's been the wrestler of the half year, though, in terms of like not wrestler of the year, but most outstanding wrestler. Like, look at it. Like, he's been awesome.
Ospreay?
Yes. Look at the records, dude. He's had the best match in AEW. He's had the best match in New Japan. He's had the best tag team match. He's had the best three-way match. He's been awesome. You just don't think of it because he's not on TV every week like Will is.
That's probably Gunther.
Yeah, it could be.
For me, I don't know.
Some people will vote that. You and John LaRocca. And Gunther's had a good year. Don't get me wrong. I have him third on best promos. I think he's had a great year on the mic.
Who?
Gunther.
Who do you have ahead of him?
Hangman and MJF.
You put Hangman ahead of... Okay.
Oh, yeah. I thought Hangman's been awesome. Kamatani, that's it. Okay.
On promos? Okay.
Yeah. I do think the Observer... Matt says, I do think the Observer Awards, you should vote for what you personally watched. Well, I would agree with that in terms of most outstanding, but I think when you're talking about an MVP, you can't just...
All right, let me cut off this conversation right now because we're not even talking about the awards. We're talking about half-year awards, which are a made-up metric.
We'll do a show.
Paul is given into.
Yeah. But I do think when you're talking about MVP, you've got to actually study everything. You can't just do it on what you personally watched because MVP is about more than just in-ring. We got a skit from earlier today. We got a couple of these back to back, and then it looked like it was going to be all show, but it was just these two, and they were okay. I think these things were purposely bad because it was a rib on Brian Alvarez. I'm 100% convinced that that's what this was. They had these two terrible video packages in the middle of a great show just to say, hey, Brian asked for video packages, here you go. So in this first one, Matt surprises Nick by apparently having a limousine that he paid for with Tony Khan's money, but in actuality it was just a rented limo with these magnetic placards on it, with their founding fathers on it, and they rode around the streets of California and they narrated things. They went to their old elementary school and they rode swings, and then they just cut to commercial. Then they come back from commercial and they do another skit, and they went to their childhood home. They went to In-N-Out Burger, and they were mad because, well, not mad. They were disappointed because they thought their house was smaller than they remembered it. And then they went back to their limo, and that was the end of these skits. Like, it was weird. Like, the way they did it, you thought, oh yeah, we're probably going to see like 5 or 6 more of these. And no, that was it. Unless I missed something.
No, I also think it was possibly one of those things where it was meant to show their abuse of power, to take, that they're using this valuable television time to waste our time doing nothing.
But it just came off as comedy.
Yes.
Yeah, which I mean, it's on brand for them. So.
It came off as them trying to go, oh, you thought you were going to get something like important on this? Nah. And then bailing on the bit halfway through.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like a BTE skit, but
that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Speaking of not taking something seriously, we got the 4-way with MJF and AR Fox and Anthony Bowens and Brody King. Now, I was equally disgusted and in awe of one Maxwell Jacob Friedman in this match. This guy. So the first half of the match, he decides that he's going to do commentary instead of taking a beating in the ring. He said, I'll let these 3 guys beat each other up and then I'll just go take the pin. And he sits on commentary for a while. And MVP is like, yeah, this is how I taught him. You're doing great, Max, blah, blah, blah. And they're just mocking it. And he's basically just making a mockery of this whole thing. So then after the break, he's in the ring. He takes one bump and he lies there like he's dead for like 10 minutes. Like literally like flat on his back, motionless, while everyone else is moving around him, and every time they take a bump, they're right back up and they're fighting, and Max is just, and then he'd get up and then he'd get hit again and he'd flat back bump and he's dead again. And he's wrestling like he's the first person in a Royal Rumble and he's got to go a full hour, but he's not going to eliminate anyone. So he's like doing as little as possible for the whole match. And then eventually at the end, it's the finisher train where everyone hits their moves. And it looks like AR Fox is going to be the last one standing, but Max gets in from behind and puts on his salt of the earth finisher. AR Fox taps immediately and MJF wins. Now, there was some great stuff in here I didn't mention. Brody King looked awesome. Anthony Bowens took just the sickest gonzo bomb I've ever seen. There's one spot where Brody King does his like backward somersault into the corner where all 3 of them were there. And this was another spot where MJF just comically stumbled around and landed exactly in place to be there to take the bomb. Like, he just literally made wrestling look like a complete joke in this thing. But he also like did the very least that he could possibly do and ended up getting the win. So on some level, I appreciate him, but I was also just like, oh my God, you're exposing
it's almost
so much.
It's almost an odd commentary on the career of AR Fox, who busts his ass to work,
Yes. Okay.
Just a huge work rate, man, and just loses, so nobody respects him. And here's MJF overselling like Shawn Michaels, and then getting the pin and winning. And some MVP inspirational gear for MJF.
Yeah,
which
he's back. Yeah, he's the second.
I liked this. I laughed.
No mention of MJF attacking Mystico and MLW, by the way.
No, none at all. So I guess we're just gonna go there and then we'll build Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Forbidden Door match will come out of whatever the.
I think it's not. No, I think the Forbidden Door is actually gonna be Mystico and Bandido, and then that's probably when we're going to see MJF attack Mystico after the Forbidden Door match, and that's going to set up something at Arena Mexico.
All right, I'll go with it. I laughed at Riccaboni saying that that Van Nuys is just down the road from Ontario.
Oh, it's
about
not.
an hour. Well, I live near Van Nuys is about a 5-minute drive from me. Okay. It takes about an hour and a half to get to Ontario from where I live, but it's in the area. I wouldn't call it just down the road in terms of it being hometown, but okay. Brody, again, it's one of those Claudio things with me. He looks like a beast. He does all this flying and guys bump like hell for him. But for what good does it do? He looks like a killer the entire time, but he never wins.
But he's over. But other than that, yeah. And Anthony Bowens was a complete afterthought.
Yes,
in this match, to the point where
Pride Month is over. So
yeah, and the pride of professional wrestling is not over, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. That was my next line. Thanks for jumping on it. Damn it, but that's okay. You can have it.
You set me up.
Bowens. No, I did a little bit. I don't understand the career trajectory of Anthony Bowens right now.
At this
And
point, I almost think they're setting.
I kind of want to. I want to take him aside at the gym and go, "The hell are you doing?"
I feel like they're almost setting him up to go back with Caster.
That's exactly what they're doing, I think.
Yeah,
and possibly to turn on Billy Gunn to get there.
So because Billy
can
probably
go back to his kids.
Yeah, Billy in NXT probably.
Maybe.
Yeah. Where are the guns? Like, there's so many people that are just vanished. Wardlow. I could make a company out of the people that AEW has under contract.
Wardlow's going to be an American Gladiator.
So. Oh, that's true. Yeah, and Camille too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So after the match, Mark Briscoe comes out and he's got a new shirt.
But hold on. Here's my general question though.
Okay.
Are people gonna pop when he and Caster get back together? No.
Because they might initially. Oh, scissor me, daddy. Unless Billy's not there. Oh, but then they're going to cut a promo on Billy, beat the shit out of him, and then they're like nothing.
They go heel, and then they're going to go back to square one with Max Caster getting heat with raps that cross the line occasionally.
They'll be in the Hardy family office, except Matt's not even there anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Mark Briscoe comes out, and he's got a new shirt, and it says, Max has a tiny pickle. And he's got kosher in small letters.
Kosher in very small letters. Yeah, my co-host on Shake Them Ropes did not like that line.
Really?
Last week.
Okay.
Because of all the anti-Jewish sentiment that Max has played into for sympathy and heat, he really did not like them bring up the kosher.
I know someone who is a big Max fan and is Jewish, and he loved it. So I'm sure there's two sides of it, and I can't really argue with either one.
No, I was just shocked by how angry he was at it, because it was just like, oh, I didn't, because to me, it was for heat, and Max sold it, and it was fine, and also Max had the pickle business before, so it was fine with me on that too.
Given my anger when Adam Cole got hung on Good Friday, I can't.
Oh, the Crown of Thorns. No, it was the Crown of Thorns on Good Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Crown of Thorns. Yeah. And when he was kind of like had his arms spread out like he was on a cross too.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes out with that shirt, and the fans are chanting Tiny Pickle. He's going to sell like thousands of these shirts. And he says, I'm not addressing Lashley. I think he actually called him like Bobby and Shelton or Montel, but I'm addressing the one who called me a blue collar bitch last week. I wear blue collar like a badge of honor, but the bitch line, I take that personal. And that's why you're going to get a beating it all in. But before we do that, I want to challenge you to a little talky talk, just me and you in the ring next week. This got the fans to chant talky talk.
MJF selling this talky talk chant was fantastic.
Fans are chanting really talky talk. Look at her, no. That segment's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I think it's the only thing they advertise for next week, and they don't need anything else. 2 hours of these.
And I will bet that this is where MJF brings up Jay.
Oh, please.
I think us avoiding it is going to end, and that's where MJF's going to get flustered. He's going to bring up his dead brother.
John stumbled onto something here that might happen. Mystico and the Casino Gauntlet to set up something with MJF later.
That's what I thought. I know. I said that. You said no, but okay.
Oh, no. I'm saying that I don't think they're going to have the match of Forbidden Door. That's all.
Right.
If they set something up, it's going to be setting it up for Arena Mexico. I think that's going to happen. Although I still I want MJF to win this match. I don't know if he's going to, but I really want him to. So then we got what was, this was the dumbest thing on the show.
It made me question Tony's booking ability that he did this.
Well, okay, so he comes out. So Briscoe leaves. Jesse comes out, and they hit super kicks and dives and lay out Lashley and Benjamin. And I'm like, okay, good. They giving these guys a little bit of heat. I'm going to lay off them. I'm going to praise this. Okay, let's go to the next segment. Nope. Nope. So what happens is, and I should point out, Bailey and Knight had their ribs heavily taped up. And I should also point out that when Kenny Omega showed up later, he's not taped up. So these guys are hurt worse than Kenny, who is at death's door from diverticulitis. So they lay them out, but then Lashley and Benjamin just went back to the ring, beat these two down. MVP and MJF don't even get involved. They sit down and watch. So this is a fair 2-on-2 fight between the tag champs and allegedly their challengers at the biggest show of the year. So they beat on them, and they beat on them. And then MJF is playing off the thing they did on Collision a couple weeks ago, where he's putting money on the Hurt Syndicate. Then finally, I guess Bobby and Shelton had enough of beating these two guys down and decide to leave. And Kevin Knight, this is where he says, "We're still standing, even though they weren't. And you haven't finished the job." So MVP sends them back in there. And they hit, Shelton hits a power bomb. Lashley hits a Dominator. Then they go to leave. Bailey and Knight get up again. And you still didn't finish the job. We're still here. So Lashley and Benjamin go back in, beat the hell out of them some more. Benjamin hits a running knee on Kevin Knight. Lashley hits another Dominator on Mike Bailey.
Lashley has to yell at Kevin Knight to do a kip up so he could do the power bomb correctly.
Oh my God. So then they leave. And at this point, these guys are almost dead, but they can still talk. And so Kevin Knight says, "We're still alive. And you know how to hurt people, but you got to learn how to kill us." And then Knight said, "Your mama taught you how to hit like a bitch. So I challenge you to a match on Collision." So I already know what's going to happen on Collision. I haven't seen spoilers, but
Vidal's going to show up.
Shelton Benjamin's going to beat Kevin Knight's ass for 10 minutes. Kevin Knight's going to get a flash pin. Yes. And that's going to be the heat going into the pay-per-view.
This lasted so long, I thought the patriarchy was going to come out to get involved somehow, but they tried to do the Cool Hand Luke build, where Cool Hand Luke's fighting Dragline. And you know what this turned into? This turned into the Black Knight from Monty Python's and the Holy Grail. It's just a flesh wound.
So Lady B wants you to give hope for Kevin Knight.
No! He's going to get his roll-up pin. They're going to have this tag match. Speedball's going to eat it. And then we're going to move
Kevin
on
Knight
to
turn on him maybe after the match?
No, I don't think we go there just yet.
Okay. The segment made Speed Force look like the biggest dumbasses in the AEW tag team division, to the point where John doesn't even get their name right.
Let me
Speedboat Mike Bailey.
Let me ask you this: is this a rib on us? Like, are they just gonna keep getting beat and beat and beat until the tag title match, and then they're gonna win the tag title?
Well, this is okay. So this is what I said tonight. I said this is the dumbest build to a pay-per-view match they've ever done, unless they win. Like, if Jet Speed wins, then you can kind of almost forgive this, as long as it's not like a flash pin and then Hurt Syndicate just moves on with their lives.
Who in the hell wants to see them win at this point? They were cheering for the Hurt Syndicate during this segment.
Well, and they also chanted one more time.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't point that out, but yeah. And this, by the way, is a crowd that was hot for everything, reacting how they were supposed to for everything. But in this segment, they decided, and it's not like they like the Hurt Syndicate. Like, the Hurt Syndicate have actually been getting heat as heels the last probably month, ever since MJF joined them.
I finally figured out what they're going to do.
They're
going to cash in on a gimmick I've wanted to do for years. Both guys are going to come out in body casts, and they're going to fall on the Hurt Syndicate, and the Hurt Syndicate won't be able to kick out.
Oh, God.
And they'll get the pin.
I did see an idea that what's going to happen here is Christian and Nick Wayne are going to get added to this match. And then maybe Jet Speed wins the titles by pinning
Nick Wayne.
Yeah. And then that sets up the Nick Wayne Chris. Yeah, it would. And it wouldn't make this segment any better. Because then what would end up happening is Lashley would go on to be in the world title picture. Shelton will, be in that TNT title mix. And they won't even be in the tag team division anymore.
Yes, that's the dumbest thing you've ever heard. But I was going to do that for That was a WWE pitch. It was actually gonna be for Heyman at one point.
Maria likes the idea. Is that my idea? The one about the one with Speedball pinning Nick Wayne? Yeah.
No, it's the body cast idea. She's putting me.
Oh, the body cast idea. Okay.
No.
Oh.
That's actually an idea I had for Heyman to somehow end up in the elimination chamber and then.
Well, you remember that
body cast because of it.
Wasn't there a battle royal where like Lanny Poffo wore a suit of metal and then he couldn't take any hits and he couldn't get like nothing could hurt him because he had this.
That's possible. I just remember the Iron Sheik was in the gimmick battle royal.
Yeah, he knew he couldn't lose,
so he had to win.
He couldn't go over the top rope. But no, I'm pretty sure there was like this was on like a Coliseum video, home video, where it was like a 20-man battle royal and where it was like for Halloween or something. And Lanny Poffo was dressed up in a suit of armor. And of course he won because like nothing could hit him. You couldn't do anything. So that was that. MJF did win. He gets the second spot in the Casino Gauntlet against Mark Briscoe. So I assume
Maria likes it being a 3-way.
The
patriarchy.
Okay. And she likes Christian and Nick Wayne being active. Oh, I think that's what they're setting up. Like, I feel like it. But then if that's the case, then I just say, like, yeah, it's a fine way to get the titles off the Hurt Syndicate, but it's a cheap
win. It doesn't get the babyface team over, though.
That's the problem. And this segment got them under. So they need like help after this.
Like 6 feet under.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw what happened at Private Party. Isn't this what they did to who was it that they beat the crap out of? Oh, it's Private Party, I think. And then they challenged for the tag team titles and they beat them. Yeah. This is exactly what they did. So we did get one kind of half a segment with the Bucks where they pulled up to the arena and they were in their ring gear and they just went straight to the ring for their match. So then we got trios match, Konosuke Takeshita and the Young Bucks against Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Bandido, who is the ROH champion. So the reason that Konosuke Takeshita was in this match was because he is going to be facing Bandido at Super Card of Honor. I'm not positive.
He's a foot and a half taller than every other participant in this match.
A little bit, yeah. I'm not sure if they even mentioned that in the conversation. They might have done it during the entrances.
I don't think they did, but
okay. Well, and they also don't really like promoting Ring of Honor on AEW television. That may be a WBD call. But they had a PWG match. I mean, there's no other way to put that. It was just a complete party match. It was awesome. My big takeaway from this is that Konosuke Takeshita and the Bucks should probably be the trios champions. Like, they just had great chemistry together. They had all kinds of moves where they incorporated each other's finishers into the double team moves. And it was pretty awesome. So the ending sequence was Bandido was going for a 21 plex. And then the Bucks hit a double hip toss. They hit a Indie Taker bastard driver on Bandido. Takeshita held on the super wheelbarrow, but Strong and O'Reilly tackled the Bucks to break it up. Then Bandido was dragged to the corner, and Strong and O'Reilly made quick tags, did a combo. Bucks ramped up a super kick party, but O'Reilly exploded with a Nigel lariat. And then O'Reilly ate some super kicks and the knockout forearm from Takeshita. Bucks hit the EVP trigger. Takeshita hit the power drive knee. And I think he killed Kyle. And then he hit the Raging Fire, and that was that.
Oh, I forgot to mention during that Mercedes match, she got nailed with that kick to the head when she was on
Mercedes
her knee.
Did?
Yes.
She was just selling.
No.
I know, you're right. Yeah. I mean, Mina hits hard. Or was that Hater? I can't remember.
No, that was Mina hits hard, but on accident.
I love this match, though. I really did. I thought this was almost as good as the Mercedes match, which I really liked a lot too. So, and if you wanted to say the main event was better, that's fine too. Like there's some really, really good matches on this show.
I would have liked a little more heat from the heels here, like trying to hurt them instead of having
fair.
Fair. I mean, it's fine. The wrestling that AEW fans like is not my wrestling, and I get it. So
you used to go to PWG.
I didn't like PWG all that much.
Oh, okay. Why'd you go?
I kept feeling empty because I kept wanting to like it, and I couldn't convince
Gotcha.
myself to like it.
Yeah, I can see that actually.
I mean, there were matches I really liked in there. Don't get me wrong; I didn't hate everything, but I came out feeling emptier than the people I was sitting there with who absolutely adored it. I just kind of went, okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, from what I understand, like I've never seen a show, like not even on video. It's not I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like you've got your reputation for the party matches, but they also had some really good wrestling on those shows too. Like
yeah,
just, yeah, like traditional.
but
Like,
I like heat. So
right.
that was also the problem, is that like the matches never got heat. They were usually very well choreographed, well worked, high spot matches type things.
Yeah. Curryhead wants to know
Until Penta came in and made you all fear for your lives because he was doing a Reseda street fight, and then he'd look at you and you thought he was going to kill you, and then I was excited.
the Bucks had some heel heat too, where you wanted to see them get beat up at times.
Yes,
like,
yes,
yeah.
and Steen had some heat
Yeah.
to him too, and also
Curryhead,
Roddy was a fantastic heel in PWG.
Oh, Roddy's a great heel. Like
yeah,
when he's not doing Jeff. So Curryhead wants to know if we've ever seen the Young Bucks legitimately hurt somebody in a match. Like I'm sure it's probably happened, but not that I can recall. They're awesome. Like they're
great.
Yeah, they're probably, I mean, they're probably the best tag team of all time, you know, with the exception. I mean, you know, all apologies to the Rock and Roll Express, who in watching these early AEW shows, I've seen so much Rock and Roll Express. I had forgotten how often they were on that show at the beginning. Like it was I think at least 3 times. Meanwhile, there's people that Excalibur assumes I know that I have no idea who they are, based on what I'm watching, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. So after the ring, Swerve and Will hit the ring to attack the Bucks, but they quickly bailed. Then Swerve grabs a mic and he said, "We asked you a question last week, but we didn't get an answer." And I'm like, I swear they told you no last week. And they, that was kind of their reaction too. It's like, you know, we didn't accept. What else do you want to hear? And then Swerve says, "It's not about us becoming EVPs. I don't even trust him or myself for that matter." And he said the EV power should be about the fans and Tony Khan. Ospreay called them the young cucks, which I don't know if what they did on TBS, but TSN bleeped it. And there's also something Taz said earlier, later, where he was like reading a sign and they bleeped that too. I don't know what the sign was, but it was about, I think it was about the Bucks. But anyways, Matthew said, "You guys aren't the bosses. We're the EVPs, not you. You want an answer? No." Says, "What do we get out of it?" And so they go to leave, and then Ospreay says, "I got something you'd be interested in." And here I'm like, I'm hoping, okay, he's gonna do my idea. And nope. Nope. He says,
That's
and
the
I mean,
worst is when you think you have a great idea and you think they're gonna do it and they don't. Then you feel disappointed with the idea that they have.
well, and here's the thing. I had an idea similar to this, but I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they care? And so this is his idea. He says, if you guys can beat us, me and Swerve can't challenge for the world title for a full year. And Swerve was not happy about that, but the Bucks were. They accepted, but only if Swerve agrees. Swerve thought about it. He accepted, and I told the Bucks, "We'll see you pricks it all in." So that's the stip. If the Bucks lose, they're not EVPs anymore. But if Ospreay and Swerve lose, no title shots for a year. Here's the problem with this one, in my opinion. Number one, I already said, it doesn't make any sense. Why would the Bucks care whether or not they can challenge for the world title? They're not the champions. Like, you know, and as EVPs of the company, like, wouldn't they want these guys challenging for the title? But the other part of it that I think is a bigger issue is this is actually open-ended. Either one can win. You can have the Bucks win and retain their EVP titles, and Swerve and Will can't challenge for the title for a year. Like, you can book around that. And you can even have it be, because next year's All In is going to be in London again. Tony's already said that. So that could be the thing. That could be when he gets to challenge for the world title, is a year from now in London. You know, so like, you can actually make a really good booking case for the Bucks actually winning. I think when it comes to a stip like this on the biggest show of the year, you want a stip where you're basically telling the fans, this is what's going to happen. Like, you don't want there to be doubt in terms of the match. Same thing with Hangman and Mox. Like, it should be, unless he's losing, like, you should be going into this match knowing that Hangman's going to win. That's my opinion. I don't know what you think.
I think for the world title, yes. I think for this one, I like there being a little bit of ambiguity.
Okay. All right. Fernando thinks it's obvious for Swerve and Ospreay winning. I'm not sure. Well, and here's the thing, and this is why I agree with Fernando. Like, you can't have either one of them out of the championship. Like, especially if Hangman wins, like Hangman Swerve, Hangman Ospreay, those are two like big time pay-per-view programs.
Yeah, but then you have Okada, you have Takeshita, you have MJF,
Moxley,
you have Omega, you have Moxley.
Yeah.
You have Danielson if he decides to come back. I mean, you have matches to burn.
Oh, he returned last week
for a year. Yes, I know this.
We didn't mention that. He was actually. But I mean,
you do have options. The problem is finding stuff for Ospreay and Swerve to do.
Well, I mean, they probably feud with each other first.
Yes.
You know, as a result of, you know, Swerve being pissed off. And I mean, they'll be in the C2, so that's, you know, that eats up a few months. You know, so and then you know, before you know it, you're in the, you know, and then Ospreay wins the Owen next year, and and that gets him his world title match a year after he's not allowed, like literally be a year and a day. So it'd be like the day after he's eligible to challenge for the title again. I'm actually starting to convince myself that the Bucks are going to win.
I know, Darby, that's scary, isn't it?
Yeah,
Darby's in there too. Yeah, Darby's in there.
Yeah, so yeah, you could do a year without Will or Swerve. I mean, it's not what I would do, but you could definitely do it. And then again, you know, if you want to sell tickets to Wembley next year, Will Ospreay getting his first world title shot in a year,
and that's where you make it obvious that Ospreay's winning it in the UK. Yeah, so you need to go
in Wembley. They're not just UK; it's gonna be Wembley. Tony said so. You're gonna have a lot of tickets to sell. Yeah, Darby's due back soon. Yeah, he's off the mountain. All right. So yeah, we got that. Then we got a video. I didn't like this at all. So I guess it was the new Superman. I can't remember his name. Kenny Omega was in a cape, and he looked like a complete dork. And I pointed this out, and then somebody said, "Well, he is a dork," and it's part of his character. So I guess, yeah, whatever. Then he got along with Superman. MJF was there too, and he got along with Lex Luger, so that makes sense. And
Lex Luthor,
whatever. The theme of the night was, and I didn't mention this in the trios match. It was a heroes versus villains match, with the Bucks being the villains, even though they were cheered.
There's a lot of this across the WBD brands because
hey,
this weekend Six Flags is doing heroes and villains type of a thing. So
get paid, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully they got paid for this because there's a lot of promotion on this show for Superman.
It needs to be a hit for the studio. Let's put it that way, because this DC branding has been terrible for Warner Brothers.
Well, there was in the Fight Game Media Discord in the AEW section, there was a little thing going on last night where I guess some of the people that are way more into comic books than I am were trying to assign characters to all the different AEW personalities. Like, oh, who would Hangman be? Who would Darby be? And all this, but then they're bringing up these character names and which AEW guy would be this guy? Which one? I don't know any of the DC characters, like none, other than Superman and Batman and Lex Luthor. And meanwhile, like with the other one, Marvel. That's what the other one is, right? I know all those guys and girls. Like I recognize all their names, but man, these like I can't even. And then so I did the Abe Simpson thing of, you know, like walk into the chat, walk right out because they're still talking about comics. And then they were trying to assign me one, and I think Ryan Frederick said something about me, like, "Oh, Paul is this," and everyone laughed, and I didn't recognize the name. Gary something or other. Maybe somebody can help me out. Is there a Gary in the DC universe? Gary Gland, maybe that was it. I don't know.
Guy Gardner.
That's it. Well, who's that? Is that an insult?
Guy Gardner's a trollish anti-hero Green Lantern.
Okay,
he's a jerk. I'm more
fits.
Guy Gardner than you are.
Okay, yeah. Well, you're never in there.
Yeah.
Very rarely. Anyways, this led to another heroes and villains match. So its heroes were Will Ospreay and Swerve, and the villains were Beast Mortos, who everybody loves, and Dralistico, who nobody gives a shit about. And they had a match, and it was fine. If you told me that before this show that there was going to be a tag team match that involved Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, and Beast Mortos, and it was going to be the worst match on the show, I'd have laughed in your face. There was a tag match with Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland and Beast Mortos, and it was the worst match on the show. It wasn't bad. It was good. It was fine. It was perfect, exactly what it should have been.
Cromulent. It was perfectly cromulent.
It was a decisive win for the two guys who are about to face the best tag team in the history of the world at the biggest pay-per-view of the year. So we did not need to see Beast Mortos. Now, there was a lot of discourse over the last week about Hangman Page and Beast Mortos having a match last week where Beast Mortos beat his ass for 90% of the match and then Hangman won. I feel like we watched a different match last week because I remember us coming on the air right after and saying this was exactly what it needed to be. Hangman beat him quick. Mortos got a little bit of offense in, but that was fine. Like, is this because we didn't see the stuff in the commercials? Like, I'm thinking maybe, yeah, because the people that were reviewing it, obviously the most high profile review is, at least in our universe, is Brian and Vinny, and they were at the show live. So I watched this and I thought, yeah, they got a decisive win. Mortos got his spots in. Dralistico, I guess, was there. I don't remember him. If I didn't write his name down on my notes, I probably wouldn't have remembered that he was even in the match. But he did end up, Dralistico took the pin with a Styles Clash House Call combo, which looked cool. And they got to work on their combo moves when they're going to go against the Young Bucks. They're going to have a freaking 5.5-star match at All In. So this was a nice warm up for that.
Yeah, I think, although I think they've hit the right tone here, they're just good enough to have a couple of double team moves. And then they're going to be outclassed by the Bucks.
So you think they're going to lose too, eh?
Well, no, but then they have to get it together and figure out a way to work together to overcome. Okay. I'm not convinced yet, but I'm starting to get there.
Okay. Well, I mean, and like you said, I guess, it could go either way. So I get what you're saying. Like, it's nice to have some ambiguity on there, whatever, but I just think on the biggest show of the year. But then again, this is
I would have them running on all cylinders and going through guys like a hot knife through butter, but Tony Khan wants his bangers, and he's like, when you came on to the show, I was going to describe the show as snowflake chasing, which it was in many ways.
What's that? Can you elaborate?
For star ratings.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there's a lot of stars on this show. I
mean, he was chasing star ratings. That's what he was.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I call it snowflake chasing. That's what
I count. Okay, there's 5 matches here. I counted 20.5 stars between the 5 matches. Okay. That's a lot of stars.
Then Tony got what he wanted out of the show.
At least on my ratings. And Dave's usually higher than me. So, Dave loves him some Ospreay and some Beast Mortos. Like, I don't know, But then again, there's nothing to this match. So if he gives this match like 5 stars, I'm going to be like, what the hell are you watching, Dave? No, I won't say that. Then again, you're talking to the guy who went on Wrestling Observer Radio, and when Dave asked him, what match do I need to watch from this week? You heard what I said?
Yes.
Mike Santana and AJ Francis from TNA Impact.
What? Yeah. Even Brian went in on that one. I was like, what are you talking about?
He didn't see it. Dave didn't see it. That match was awesome. That should be your Vader Club match. I'm telling you.
Maybe I'll go back and watch it. I know what my Vader Club match is this week.
Okay. But that was a good match. AJ Francis is underrated, dude. He may be most improved this year. Anyways, this brings us to our main event. Actually, no, you know what? Most improved's got to be Kota Ibushi, because he went from like dead to like having a 4-star match in the main event of AEW Dynamite. Curryhead wants to know why I suggest that match, because it's awesome. It was a street fight. There's a lot of great near falls. Mike Santana's an awesome babyface. AJ Francis a great heel. It was a great match. Like I just can't recommend it enough. Fernando, AJ Francis is not terrible. You're probably not watching him. He was awful in WWE. He's found a niche in TNA. He's a really good heel. That's all I'll say. So our main event, Kazuchika Okada, the Continental Champion versus Kota Ibushi, not a title match. So this was a rematch of the G1 final in 2021, where Ibushi got legitimately injured, ended up putting him out of action for like a couple of years. He only returned last year, I think, in AEW or 2 years ago, and he promptly got injured again. This was like, and they kind of had it's kind of funny because they had what was kind of a legendary rivalry. I looked it up on Cage Match. They wrestled each other 30 times in New Japan. And Don Callis pointed out that he knows Kota Ibushi really well because he used to be aligned with Kenny Omega. So he gave Kazuchika Okada a lot of tips on how to beat Kota. Even though Kazuchika's wrestled him 30 times, he needed Don Callis' tips. But Okada worked hard by Okada standards. Within the first 5 minutes, he took more bumps than he took in the entire Blood and Guts match last year. He was sweating. He was breathing hard. He actually, Kota was working and Okada was right there with them. They did, some great near falls at different points. There was some hard hitting. Okada hit maybe the best drop kick that he's hit, like in AEW, he used to do this in New Japan all the time. He had that one drop kick that he hit at the perfect time, and he hit it here, and it was just beautiful. Go to the finishing sequence. Bushi, oh God, I thought he killed Okada with an avalanche tiger driver.
Yes.
Got just an awesome 2 count. And then Ibushi went for a Kamagoya, missed it. They both traded near falls. Okada went back to the ropes, got hit by a lariat, missed a Rainmaker, but then he hit this where he hit Ibushi with the drop kick. Then he hit a Rainmaker and just folded Ibushi up. And
high stack, yeah. I like.
And Ibushi does that better than anybody. Like the way he's just dead. And Okada pinned him, and that was it. And this was, I wasn't expecting much just because last week, Ibushi was fine, but he was nothing special, and you just didn't know, what does he have? And Okada never gives a full effort in TV matches, but this was as good a TV match that's not in the Continental Classic that you're going to see from Okada. It was, Curryhead says 50% of Okada. I'd say it's like 65. I don't know.
Didn't matter. He had his working boots on, and he was trying to get the story over, so I was fine with it.
You were fine with it. It was fine. It was better than Cromulent. Come on.
No, it was. It was just, okay. I was kind of watching.
Well, the funny thing is, okay, and I loved the match, and I said it was awesome. And then I made the comment immediately. I said, that was an awesome match. Now this is what I came to see. What was going to happen after
post-match.
That was the entire reason for this match.
I'm kind of there with you, but I was already ahead and going, all right, let Okada get the pin already.
Right. So he got.
I thought it was going to be a dirty pin too. What surprised me was it was clean
as a whistle.
Yeah.
So immediately, Rocky Romero and Callis and Lance Archer in the ring, and they're beating on Ibushi. Fans immediately knew where this was going. And they are not even booing. They're chanting for Kenny. They know Kenny's coming. And they didn't make, and Trent Beretta showed up, I guess Kenny came out first. And he comes out, makes a save. Trent Beretta showed up, tried to hit Omega from behind, but Ibushi cut him off, hit an assisted German suplex. And the Golden Lovers hugged. And I think the fans were chanting for them to kiss. Maybe I only heard a few people, but they didn't kiss. Maybe they're saving that.
I need to give some props here to Trent Beretta.
Okay.
Because camera didn't catch all of this, but after he gets German suplex, he stays in that high stacked position for a few moments. and then he slides out backwards onto the floor from the high stack. But it was great physical comedy that you'd only notice if you were only watching the wide shots. You were watching Trent Beretta in the wide shots, but it was really. I'm not the biggest Trent Beretta fan in the world, but I watched that and I howled at it because it's like it wasn't as bad as Bowen's almost hurting himself sliding out of the ring to the floor today. You remember that when he rolled to the floor, he took a bump and but the bump that Trent took had a certain degree of difficulty on it, both on the physical danger, but also the comedic scale. So I appreciated it.
You know what just dawned on me why I may have enjoyed this show like so much, and it sounds like probably a little bit more than you, was it because I had watched that Dynamite from 2020 earlier today, and one of the matches we saw was the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy against the what are they called? The Jurassic Express.
Yes.
Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt, who in hindsight, I can't believe they had this guy wrestling on national television for as long as they did.
He was over.
Because he was in his hometown.
No, but I mean, overall, like for a while, he was over.
But it was ridiculous.
In the ironic way. Yes.
What made me think of this was one of the spots in that match was Marco squaring off with Trent.
Yes.
And Trent looked like Great Khali in there against Great Maverick. Like, this was, I can't believe how tiny that guy was. And what a goofball he was. Like, he would just run around and beat his chest and like, he couldn't do anything except get beat up. Like, it was, oh my God.
It's not that I didn't enjoy the show. It's that good wrestling isn't exciting to talk about for me.
That's where they were, John. They were just outside of Memphis on the show that we watched. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Nice plug. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow for that show. So yeah, that was it. And then the matches that they've announced, nothing for Dynamite other than the Talkie Talk, but for Collision 100, which is on Saturday, but they're taping it right now. We've got FTR and the Outrunners, which they set up on last week's Collision with an awesome promo segment that I loved at the beginning of the show. Shelton Benjamin and Kevin Knight, an 8-woman all-star match. That term is overused. Thunder Rosa, Queen Aminata, and Tay against Athena, Megan Bayne, Tekla, and Julia Hart. I feel like we've seen this every week for the last month. Kyle Fletcher and Daniel Garcia. I was going to say non-title, but then I forgot that Daniel Garcia is not even the champion. And Mystico, Hologram, and Mark Briscoe against RPG Vice and Hechicero. Is this a repeat? Like, I feel like we've seen this show already. No? Maybe that's where you're going to see.
The last match sounds familiar, but
maybe we're going to see. Maybe that's where we're going to see MJF because he's there. I mean, they're taping the show tonight. Do you think he sticks around for Collision?
No, I think he's usually in that first segment so he can catch.
That's probably where they're. That's probably where they're going to show the footage from MLW is on Collision. Yeah, because Mystico's in that match. So
I am intrigued. I am enjoying Thekla's run so far.
Tekla
in 8. Tekla. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, I am too. Other than that, that one match she had with Queen Aminata,
but she's now kind of hit that ceiling where she needs better competition as opposed to.
Well, when you talk about that, okay, like I thought, I can't remember when it was. It might have been that last week's 6-person match where it was like, oh, okay, she's just kind of in this group now.
Yes,
with, Queen Aminata and like
with Megan Bayne,
Julia Hart, Sky Blue, in that level where, they're basically in these 4 ways to get world title matches so they can lose to the champion. And then the next month they're challenged for the other title. And then they go into their women's hardcore match and then they take 6 months off and rinse and repeat. And 3 years later they re-sign. So So that's it. We have no idea what'll be on Dynamite next week, but it'll be the go home show for All In. I will say I mentioned this on the Garrett show, or the show I did with Garrett, I should say, on Monday, and I haven't told you yet. But I think that for the 2 weeks that I'm on vacation, I think I'm actually going to still do this show. And I'm going to make time to watch Dynamite, but it's literally going to be all I watch. And I'm not going to be online, so I'm going to have no idea like anything that's happened in AEW. So I may need you to explain some things to me as I'm watching, but I'm going to be watching it like a normal person would watch Dynamite. Just, it's Wednesday? Okay, here.
So you're not going to be a sicko for that time.
No. In fact, like I won't be watching the pay-per-view. It's on July 12th. That's the day we leave. We're going to be driving for 10 hours that day. The last thing I want to do when we park our ass into a hotel room after driving for 10 hours is sit down and watch a 9-hour AEW pay-per-view. So, and then we're getting up in the morning and driving another 10 hours. So yeah, I'm not watching All In. I'm not watching whatever the 3 WWE shows that weekend are. I don't even remember. I'll probably watch Supercard of Honor because it's the day before we leave, but that's it. So
Great American Bash, Evolution, and Saturday Night's Main Event.
John wants to know why we booked the show at the same time as Brian and Vinny. Because I didn't know. I guess is the easy way to put it. Well, we're 7:30 Pacific. But I mean, it's up there. You don't have to watch live. And then it'll be in the audio free feed for Monday. So there will be a delay. So if you want to hear us relatively on time, check us out on YouTube. But yeah, it's a time that works for both Jeff and I. I put Emily to bed at 9 my time, so 9:30 is a good time to do a podcast. So, and yeah, we've already watched this. I mean, we could record it tonight if we wanted to, but we're gonna do it tomorrow. So, Jeff,
I may have to rewatch it tomorrow because I've forgotten a lot about it.
I just read
yes. I do a show called Shake Them Ropes on Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network this week. Ice cold takes on Night of Champions. The build to, a weekend just full of wrestling with 3 WWE shows next weekend, along with AEW's all in. And then for Vader Club from MLW, a first for our show. Jacob Fatu versus LA Park.
Oh,
a monster fight. Yeah, LA
What's
Park.
that from MLW?
Yes, it's on YouTube. Okay. You can find it. But
I think I watched it.
It's bloody, it's gory, and I enjoyed it. So we'll talk about that too. That'll drop in your podcatchers. I think we're probably gonna be recording afternoon of July 4th, but we'll see. I'm on a plane that morning, so we'll see what happens after I land.
That's Friday, right? Okay.
Yes.
And for me, so that whole time we were thinking about doing a show on July 4th, I was thinking July 4th was Thursday. I don't know why. But anyways, you can check obviously Jeff and I will be back tomorrow night, about 23 hours from now, recapping Dynamite. So it's season 2, episode 5, if you're on Triller, or it's season 2, episode 2. No, season 2, episode 2 on Triller, or you just January 8th, 2020, if you're on Max. And the show would have Chris Statlander and Riho for the AEW Women's World Title. It's got I think Private Party against the Lucha Bros in what was a great match. No, it was Private Party against Hangman and Kenny.
Yes.
And then the main event was Jon Moxley answers Chris Jericho's offer to join the Inner Circle, which if you don't remember this, it was an awesome segment. And if you watch nothing else from the show, go watch that. It's about 10 minutes long and it's really good. Although there are some good matches on the show too. So, and then I'll be back on Monday with the takedown with Garrett, I should say. And then we'll be back next week. So for Jeff Hawkins, I've been Paul Fontaine, and this has been The Dynamite Show.